It looks like Delta Force isn't the only game taking a swing at Battlefield this year. Fortnite now has its own Battlefield experience called Battle 43 that recreates the Guadalcanal map from Battlefield 1943. And surprisingly enough, it's actually pretty fun. There's of course some jank to it, but despite that, it's impressive what modders have been able to achieve, and I can only imagine how much this is going to improve in the very near future. Let's check it out. So Battle 43 seems like a pretty faithful remake of the original game, featuring multiple classes, we've got vehicles, destruction is in the game, and of course the Guadalcanal map, which actually looks pretty darn good. It's certainly not as feature complete as an official Battlefield game, and frankly it still feels like Fortnite at its core, but I'd imagine, frankly, I'll just say I know it's only a matter of time before the Fortnite roots on a lot of these mods start to disappear and you can jump into them and feel like it's its own unique game. So the mod, or experience, whatever you want to call it, offers 3 classes. You get the Rifleman, Infantry, and Scout. The Rifleman gets the M1 Garand and Grenade Launcher. The Infantry class has a Thompson and an RPG, and the Scout has a pretty beefy sniper rifle and an explosive gadget. Just like a Battlefield game, the spawn screen lets you pick from flags, there's an HQ spawn, and you also have the ability to spawn on active planes. The vehicles themselves are a bit arcadey and they've got their own balance and jank to them, but I'll get into that a bit later. The infantry gameplay, on the other hand, is surprisingly solid. Fortnite's official FPS tools just recently rolled out, and their official FPS mode, Ballistic. But Battle 43 seems like it's using the older hacky workarounds that sort of force the game to play like a first-person shooter, but it's not, so I don't think they've implemented the new, better tools. And the FPS implementation here is way more janky than something more polished like Fortnite's Ballistic. Aiming down the sights of an M1 Garand or Thompson, you can't actually tell where the gun is aimed. It's not such a big deal in close quarter fights, but anything at range you may as well just have the sniper class instead. However, despite something as serious as iron sights not really working that well, the combat is actually still fun. But it's more fun in the way that Fortnite's interpretation of a Battlefield experience would be fun. It still very much feels like Fortnite dressed up as Battlefield. But within that context, I think Battle 43 works pretty well. It also supports third-person mode, which will give you that more polished shooting experience, since that's what Fortnite was originally built for. Most of the gunfights I got into started off with me treating it like a regular FPS game, but then the recoil would take over and make my gun do some crazy inaccurate shots, and I'd have to hop around while waiting for the reload to finish. If you nail the headshots early on and get the quick kills, everything feels a bit more Battlefield-like. But once that breaks down and you have to finish the enemy off with a second mag, it starts to feel a lot more like Fortnite. Getting some of these gunplay mechanics fixed up would probably go a huge way to making the game just feel like an authentic Battlefield experience. Hopefully it's not too much work for the devs to inject those newly released tools that I think could probably fix up most of these issues for them. Now, as for the maps, Guadalcanal is an interesting choice, with Wake Island being probably the much more popular choice from Battlefield 1943, but it looks pretty darn good, I gotta say. It's obviously not exactly a one-to-one remake in terms of the props used to recreate the classic map, but in terms of the layout and overall design, it's very close. And it does feel like an authentic representation of the original map. I will say though, I'm not a huge fan of the heavy use of post-processing to make the game look kind of washed out when you put it into ultra settings. They could definitely make some tweaks here, as the lighting is kind of hard on the eyes, and I'm seeing this as sort of a trend with a lot of the Fortnite experiences. They don't necessarily know what to do with some of the settings or the post-processing balance, because it takes a bit of tweaking and trial and error, and it's not as fun as building out the mod itself. Now, Conquest works surprisingly well, or maybe it's not that surprising, as Conquest is really just a supersized mode of domination. But even in some of the earlier Battlefield games, it could be tough having fun in Conquest when your team would, say, lose all of their spawn points and be forced to start all the way back in HQ. In Battlefield 43, you can actually spawn on your friendly planes flying around the map, and it gives you a much better position to get into the action or kind of backflank your enemy. There's also plenty of vehicles to grab all over the map. Pretty much every flag has a tank or a pickup truck or something spawning on it. And as I was saying earlier, the vehicles are janky. The pickup truck is incredibly fast and easy to ram other players with. It also sports a mounted machine gun that the passenger can use, but it doesn't seem like you can roadkill a full health player with the truck, so it's mostly just a faster way of getting around the map. The tank, on the other hand, feels pretty powerful in some situations and incredibly weak in others. Using the main gun against vehicles seems to blow them up in just a couple of shots, so that feels fine, but then using the same cannon against infantry players, it's like the projectile barely damages them. I shot the same player several times and got a hit marker each time and never got the kill. Conversely, RPGs and even a well-placed sniper shot can take huge chunks out of your health or even outright kill you in one shot. The tank has weak points all over it that exposes the driver or disables a specific part of the vehicle when it's hit, so while the tank can deal a lot of damage to the right targets, it's effectively a glass cannon. The first time I got in one, a player disabled one of my treads with a regular rifle. I could understand someone using a rocket launcher or an explosive to disable a tank, but taking out the treads with a regular gun is a bit much. There's a lot of tweaking and balancing that needs to go on here. Now, somewhat ironically, this goofy mod has destruction, a feature that many of the main Battlefield titles have been criticized for leaving out. When shooting things and blowing them up, it looks and works pretty great. Fortnite is obviously well known for its destruction, but seeing it used to recreate the Battlefield experience is honestly it feels special. A weak area in the destruction is that vehicles get slowed down a ton by anything that they run into, so a chain link fence will slow you down just as much as running through a train or into a building. And getting back to vehicle balance, there's a bit of an issue with planes. When flying them, they actually look perfectly smooth, but to everyone else, they're constantly stuttering around the map unpredictably. I'm not sure if it was an issue with the player pings or the way that the planes were coded, but either way, it's really hard to engage planes when they look like this. And we know that Fortnite can support airplane netcode since it's been in the base game, so I think the mod team may need to tap into some of that logic if it's applicable. Overall, I'm impressed with the first stab at making a legit Battlefield experience in Fortnite and mostly excited about what's to come. My main ask with this mod would be implementing Epic's official FPS tools instead of relying on the workarounds that have previously been used. And I understand they're probably building all this stuff well before the tools actually were launched, so hopefully it's not too hard to reintegrate those. Having recently tested out the new ballistic mode in Fortnite, the FPS experience in that is night and day when compared to this. And those tools are out now, so hopefully modders can inject them relatively easily. Now, I'll admit I've been kind of obsessed with Fortnite experiences lately because I think we're about to enter a new era of Fortnite as the next everything game for FPS titles. It might not be aimed at the older gaming market right away, but I wouldn't be surprised if some great experiences start popping up here that end up stealing away players from the other games that they're playing. Roblox really set the template for this, and they got it to a point where they can have mods and experiences in Roblox that look just like Call of Duty and nothing like Roblox. It's not really what Roblox is well known for, but they have the capabilities to do it if a smart enough dev team tries to tackle the process. But with the Unreal Fortnite experiences, they seem to have many more tools and a more powerful engine at their disposal. Considering that games like Delta Force are built on the Unreal Engine, in theory, there's no reason that an Unreal Fortnite experience couldn't look as good as Delta Force, if not better. In fact, I think Delta Force's multiplayer is Unreal Engine 4, where this is Unreal Engine 5, so in theory, it could look even better. If Epic was a publicly traded stock, I'd be buying shares of it right now because we're looking at the catalyst moment. The calm before these Fortnite experiences start to get better and better and bring more and more players over. Again, I know that Fortnite isn't necessarily aiming at the older demographic yet, but again, there's no reason to believe that these experiences are going to stay in the realm of Fortnite-y mechanics for too long. Epic is building out all the tools to make whatever experience you want to, so it's pretty wild to think about where this could go. And if you want to see that much more polished FPS experience in Fortnite, take a look at this video on Epic's official ballistic mode. It's basically Counter-Strike in Fortnite. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.